Welcome everyone to the latest episode of the Testing Room, where 3 of the video game... What are we again? 3 of the what?
Oh, it's only been like 3 years, man.
3 of the best video game consultants who have never actually consulted on a video game. Yeah. Bring you new topics each and every week. That's what we are. That's what we do.
You got it.
Oh my goodness.
Okay. I'm cleaning the glasses, and apparently I'm like Samson. You take off the vision, and I can't remember a thing.
That's it. Yeah, you're done.
I think it's the second time I've messed that up in 3 years.
I know, right?
Yeah.
I was looking the other day. We have something like 200, close to 200 episodes, like 180 or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not a bad streak. So anyway, that's us. As always, I'm Alex, aka the Godfather.
I'm Christian, aka Suda45.
I'm Preston, aka Funkadelic Jedi.
Yeah, so how's it going, everybody? We are back this week, coming up at the end of the year.
Yeah.
To bring you a little bit our personal top 10s of the year. And I am excited to say, before we get into this episode, I heard the critics and the criticism. I overcame all odds to complete a video game. And we'll talk about that later. Yeah, so anyway, all the naysayers earlier saying he's done, he'll never get it done, he's sucked into this card simulator game. I did it, boys.
Now, to be fair,
we're here.
I said you would finish it if you stopped playing those games, and you did, and then you did. So
yeah, so we'll get to that shortly. Before we do, let's check in with our comments like always.
Yeah. We got 2 new commenters. Appreciate you guys chiming in. We had one from the Game Awards reaction stream. Tim's Lone wanted to put in there that, if I remember right, Siri's OG voice actor is now in her 50s, so makes sense. It's a new actor. Also, LOL. Okay. Also, I believe the girl that died is voiced by Ashley Johnson, Ellie from Last of Us. Also, CD Projekt Red switched their whole engine to prevent launch issues. LOL. We'll see. Just because they switched an engine doesn't mean that it's not going to be on fire when it launches.
I'm hoping that. It hopefully it means that they have better tools available to them. That's going to make it a smoother process. I will say, as somebody who's I think I'm almost done with Cyberpunk now.
Oh shit!
Jesus Christ, that game is
still.
It is still a fucking mess. Don't let anybody lie to you. Like it's better than I think it's closer to what they wanted, but that game is still built on bubblegum and plastic. Like it is barely holding together at all times.
As with Cyberpunk, but especially with The Witcher 4, regardless of the state in which it ships, it will be a day one purchase for me.
Yeah.
So...
There you go.
You know what? I'm just happy because I was vindicated when you admitted that you were wrong about Cyberpunk, and that felt good. So that was fine.
There you
go. Fair enough. We have another comment there?
We do. Emily P. Thank you for pointing... Oh, this is on the side quest. Female protagonists are unrelatable. Emily P. commented, thank you for pointing out they just do this for all the clicks. I feel like so many people take it at face value just so they can laugh at them for being cringe and move on. But at this point, it's more productive to acknowledge they don't even believe in stuff they're saying and just want attention. But also, yeah, Toddy is hot as hell. They are crazy. Yeah, I agree.
You know what's funny about... I was thinking about that episode this week. And, like, every game that launches that has a male protagonist, you don't hear, like, a group of angry women out there. Like, why do they always have to make a male protagonist? Oh, he's so ugly. You know what I mean? Like, it's always just a very one-sided, shitty argument.
Yeah. And it always has a typical suspect.
Always. Always a typical suspect. Anything else from the corner? Because if not, I had a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
I have a question. We don't need to devolve into a whole thing. But
first off, shout out to those commenters, by the way.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
We're up to 48 subscribers. If we get 2 more, your boy can do chapters and like section pieces off so you can navigate them.
Nice.
That's a weird thing to gate behind. But
it is.
Whatever. It's
it is.
fine.
Who knows why?
Yeah. Shout out to YouTube.
Yeah, shout out to YouTube.
So anyway, I saw a comment or some news. I guess it was news. I just wanted to know your thoughts on the news from FromSoft's parent company. so the financial firm that owns them, that said they currently have 26 titles in the works, 20 platform and 6 mobile games currently in the works. And my question to you is, how do you feel about that? Because me, on the surface, I say you could not take a company like FromSoft that puts out quality stuff and expect everything to be good when you're going to say we're now going to expand this team to put out 20 things over the next 10 years.
But here's the thing is that I don't think they're actually...
is different.
Right. I don't think they're actually saying that. I think they're saying... When they say they have 26 titles in the works, I believe them. But how many of those actually come to fruition? Probably only a handful. Like, I think that most studios probably have multiple ideas that are always being worked, and then there's ideas that never make it past concept stage. There's ideas that get dropped at pre-production. There's ideas that get dropped well into production. There's I think that especially at like big studios like that, like FromSoft is huge now. Like they obviously have been able to scale up over the years to a size that...
Well, don't you think that's where some of this comes from, right? When you've been acquired, you scale up that big. Now it's
I think
like
that I think they were already scaled up that big to deliver a product like Elden Ring. Mm-hmm. Like, there's only at a certain point, like I would be willing to bet that after Elden Ring shipped, they probably were like, with the amount of people that it took, they were probably like, we're never going to do something this big again, so let's laser in on... I mean, even Elden Ring Night Rain has nothing to do with Miyazaki or the original team that did Elden Ring. It's a completely separate dude that carved out this idea, pushed it through, and got it approved. Miyazaki had no idea it was even happening.
Yeah. I just... to me, I hear that, and I know... I agree, right? Like, hey, a lot of things never will see the light of day, but also that, to me, screams of a corporation that says, we have a studio like FromSoft that is incredibly successful on our hands. Why don't we see what we can't get moving and pump out, capitalize on this company?
Now, I believe, I will say that whatever FromSoft ends up putting out in the mobile space will almost assuredly disappoint people.
Oh, I don't know how they can make a game. I don't know how they can make a game quality enough to fit a mobile experience, right?
Yeah. Well, and maybe who knows? Like maybe they do, maybe they don't. I don't know. But like I would assume that that also feels like a statement for investors. Like the same way that companies are like, guys, we're going to be investing heavily in AI, and we're going to be investing heavily in live service, and then a bunch of investors go, yay!
Yeah. How many of those production games are dealing with AI? We're integrating AI into this game, or this game is going to be based off AI, and like, just shut up.
Does anybody want to put money on if any of those projects are a Bloodborne 2?
Dude, if we get Bloodborne 2 before we get a port, people are going to get pissed.
Yeah. I still don't even think a Bloodborne port's going to happen. I don't think
it's going to... Yeah.
I mean, they even had Clive come out on the Golden Joysticks and be like, it's criminal that we don't have a port of Bloodborne. And I'm sure Sony was like, yeah, whatever, fuckers. Like,
okay. I mean, they'll hang on to it like EA hang on to Mass Effect, right? It's one of those things where it's like, we know people want it. We'll wait until we really need the cash flow one year. And we'll be like, here's your port, everybody.
Sometimes it doesn't work out for you. Like, for the longest time, like, I remember growing up, ever since Assassin's Creed became a thing, everybody was like, Assassin's Creed Japan is the emergency break glass where Ubisoft is going to go under and we need money. And now it looks like they broke that glass and all they had left inside was a bunch of empty candy wrappers that they couldn't remember what they were for. And now they're completely fucked and they're still going to get a hostile takeover even after having that thing in there.
But don't you think that was part of it, right? Like, I'm sure people saw the writing on the wall of what could come down, and that was their
maybe. But that's my thing is that, like, I'm sure that was the reason they started doing it. But the thing is that sometimes if you strike while the iron is ice cold, nothing happens. Like, at a certain point, people are going to be done waiting and just be like, whatever. And then when Sony does eventually get around to releasing, I mean, like, FromSoft fans are rabid. I'm sure they'll go after it like crazy.
Sure.
But, like, I think that at a certain point, there's going to be so many... There are already people that have gotten things working in nefarious ways, and it's just going to be a matter of time before that becomes really easy to do and easily accessible for people, and then you're going to have this whole... Like, then Sony will come out and be like, oh, well, here it is, we'll do it now, and then they go to do it, and it won't be as feature-rich as people want it to be, or it won't be perfect. And
man, I would give anything for a Bloodborne port. I would play through it again on this PC with some texture mods.
You and a lot.
The thing is the reason that it's not happening, and I think the reason that people is like, Bloodborne is a game that was designed around everything being locked at 30 FPS. Like, people don't know that, I don't think, very often. But
not to mention the ecosystem is going to have to come off of. Like, PlayStation 3 was not an easy thing to build games for, and I'm sure porting off of it is probably not.
It was a PS4 game.
It was a PS4 game,
Was it?
yeah.
Okay, I thought it was PS3, my bad.
PS4,
No, it was a PS4 game. But the thing is, though, is that, like, when it, like, everything is tied to its frame rate, which, you know, I'm sure hindsight is 20/20 and game development is hard, but, like, that's a choice. And so, like, physics don't work right. Like, for people, like, so, for instance, like, there's people, not me, there's people who have taken ripped that game, got it on PC, put the stuff behind it, made it 60 FPS, and there's so much extra work that you have to do to it to make it work right, because if you just upgrade the frame rate and then that's it, the whole game stops working right.
So is it do you get exploits, or do you just get worked by things that you can't hit back?
No. It's not. It's less. It's not like that. It's like collision physics thing. Like playing the game becomes the new difficulty. Like, let alone like, oh fuck, am I gonna be able to time this dodge right on cleric piece? It's like, can I even fucking get through a door? Like, that's like, I don't know if I can get the character to walk through something normally. So now obviously people have fixed that by creating mods and all this other stuff, but again, that's what I mean, is that right now if somebody is like, I want to get a 60 FPS version of Bloodborne, I don't care, there's still so many hoops that they have to go through to make it work the right way that they would want to or whatever. But
not to be this guy, but given another fucking Last of Us game, or taking the same amount of assets and putting that time and money into a Bloodborne port, I mean, that's kind of your job, your devs. Give people what they want versus another random update of something else.
You should have just, like...
They're not the same company, so please don't. Whoever is going to be like, not a different company. I get it, but you understand my analogy, honestly, there, right? Like,
Bluepoint. It was the thing that pisses me off about it is that Bluepoint already proved they could do it with the Demon Souls remake. Mm-hmm. Just give them Bloodborne and move on. Like, you don't have to ask FromSoft's help. You already own the IP. You have the gold master.
You know, people want it, so it's gonna make money.
You have the source code. Just give it to Bluepoint. Let them do their magic, and then move on. Like, it's not that difficult, but the longer you keep waiting, the easier it's going to be for somebody to sit there one day and be like, you know what? I have compiled everything. I've spent my life, the last 10 years doing this. All you have to do now is go to this little site, you download this, it extracts everything into one neat package, and then you get to play Bloodborne on your PC at 60 FPS or higher, and you'll be fine. And I'll tell you that will make it so that when people do that, there will be less and less people that will be willing to buy wherever this shows up. Like, you're just wasting time.
Cool. All right, that's all I had. I just saw that and I was like, 26 projects does sound like an investor comment. It's way too much stuff in the fire.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Cool. So with that, do we want to get into our weeks? I can go
some quick weeks
first. Yeah, I can go first, because mine will be real quick. I beat Metaphor.
Yeah.
That's it. Literally. Thank you.
What's your playtime count? What was the final? Ballpark it.
Right at 90.
Oh, right at 90? Okay. All right.
Right at 90. Yeah. Okay, I'll talk about this real quick. So, I want to be honest here, and I don't want any crap for it. I want to be truthful. I played the entire game except the last 2 days on normal. The last 2 days were on easy because of an F up, and let me tell you how that happened. So there is one fight that Preston you did not get to because you did not do the trial that is the absolute worst, and it's the 4th dragon trial.
Yep.
Where you essentially fight a shadow clone of yourself.
Yeah.
It's awful. It's not poorly done or anything like that. It's just very difficult.
It is a hard fight. Yeah.
You roll up in there, and after I think 8 turns, the game decides to go, you know how they can do the soul cry, and soul cry is this ability that gives the enemy like extra turns.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
This will give the enemy a total of 10 turns.
Jesus Christ.
Yep.
And if you don't beat him fast enough, 10 turns will wipe you out.
Yeah.
So after fighting this guy for myself for 25 to 30 minutes on the 2nd attempt, he got to that 10 turns thing and just went down the line and murdered me. So I was like, all right, F this. Easy. I'm doing it easy. We're knocking it down. What I did not realize is I went in easy, slept, did the next day, which was the thing, and you can't change difficulty back.
Nope.
You can only go
That's
down,
on
you
me.
can't go up.
That's on me. Christian, you know damn well I skipped through that.
I know you
fucking
did.
war.
I know you did. I'm letting that's not for you. That is for everybody else listening. Is that a big warning comes up and says it tells you not only there's 2 warnings. The reason I know this is because there's one at the very beginning of the game when you choose your difficulty and goes, "Hey, we'll let you change it only once." And then,
I don't recall it saying only once. I do recall it saying you can change any time. And after 85 hours had passed,
It
I
goes- you- it says you
forgot
can
that it
change
said
it.
only once.
It says you can change it at any time unless you go all the way to story, in which case we'll let you do it, but you can never come back. And then it gives you a second warning when you go to do it inside, when you actually go to do it, and it's like, hey, just
Yeah, I didn't
remember,
read.
and you're like, yeah, fuck you, yeah.
I was so pissed in that final fight. I was like, so anyway, but I played the whole game on normal. I did everything really well. I had all of my 5 wisdom and courage and imagination,
Yeah.
all my attributes maxed to level 5,
Okay.
and all of my bonds, all of my companion bonds maxed to level 8 with 13 days left.
Really? Yeah.
So-
I missed out on 1 or 2 bonds, 1 or 2 of those attributes because I need those up to 5
Yeah.
to get them. But other than that,
Yeah.
I mean, I think Christian, what you said, you missed out on 1 bond maxing out.
I missed out on 1 bond, but it was 1 point of 1. I didn't have, but it wasn't anything that had happened. It was I would have gotten it. It was that I warned Alex about this ahead of time, and I think I warned you too, Preston, or I know I did, but it was I misunderstood the way that it describes that final 30 days to you, where I was like, oh, I can do whatever I want for 30 days, and at the end, the game will just move forward. That is not the case. It wants you to go do that, the palace, and then, still have the 30 days. So that was on me. Otherwise, I would have had it, but it was for a character that I don't particularly care about anyway, so it's
Wait,
fine.
you did the palace first.
No, I let it get all the way to 2 days remaining, and then Gallica was like,
To be
hey,
fair, I did
as
the
a
same.
heads up.
Yeah.
Yeah, even
So
though I know because I warned you, but...
I let it go all the way to 1 day. I did it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I did it on the final day. Yes. So I see what you're saying. Yeah, yeah. So I almost did everything. I did this without a guide, by the way. I did a guide for the last 2 answers to Luis because I wanted to make sure I got the true ending, right? Which was just, do I select the right answer? And I did a guide
It's
now and again for
pretty straightforward on which answer you should probably
I was like,
pick.
if I'm reading this book, which one's going to give me the max, or if I'm debating somebody. But otherwise, I did the whole thing without a guide on what's optimal to do what day, which means I missed the achievement for golden beetles by 1 beetle. Apparently, I missed one in the beginning of the game. Woo.
That's okay.
I know I didn't do all the cooking because I don't care about cooking, and then I missed the Colosseum quest by.
I did that one.
I did the math. So here's what happens. I'm down to 5 days left, right? And in the Coliseum, there's 10 fights. You can only do 1 fight a day. Whatever.
It stops you. Yeah.
Well, you can do 2 fights a day. You can do some in the morning, some at night. It just depends on the weather, whatever. Anyway, I did not find that out. I thought you could only do 1 a day. So when everything was maxed out, I had 13 days left. I'm like, what do I do? And I was like, oh, I'll go do the Coliseum. So I'm like doing the Coliseum and I'm getting it down and I'm doing the math and I'm like, all right, like I have 6 more fights and like 7 more days. I think I'm gonna be okay, but I still have one more quest to do. So I got back one night and I was like, let me go try a night fight. Like maybe I can do 2 Coliseum fights in a day, and I could do a night fight. And I'm like, sweet. So I was doing the math in my head, and I had one final fight, the one that names you the champion of the Coliseum, and had 1 day left, except it was the afternoon where it said 1 day, and that afternoon you're supposed to plan what you're going to do for the final day. So I trot right over to the Coliseum, and I'm like, yeah, let's do it. And Gallagher goes, nah, we should really plan on what we're doing before we leave tonight. Like, I don't think you should go in here. And I'm like, but
I got 1 day.
But
I got
why,
a whole
though?
available slot here.
I have hours.
I'm
in the
it out.
afternoon.
It says
We're not leaving till
available
night.
right here.
I know. Like, you said we're not leaving till night. It's only the afternoon. I could knock this guy out and head back. And Gallagher was like, nah, you don't have time.
Yeah,
and I was
impossible.
And it was so frustrating because I wasted days of like just going to bed at night because I was like, oh, I have nothing to do. I have no attributes. I have no people. Like, I'll just go to bed. And I could have done 1 extra fight then before I figured it out. Either way, it was good. I beat it. I did everything in that game. And yeah, it was. We'll talk more about it here when we get to our personal top 10. But it was good. And yeah, that is all. I played one other game, but it's not really a game. So I've been playing this game called Tailspire. You all have seen me play it. It is a Dungeons and Dragons type game to where you can build your world and then drop little tokens in. Essentially how we play Dungeons and Dragons with Roll20. You're supposed to be able to navigate this world like you're playing a video game. But it's still Dungeons and Dragons, right? Like, you still have tokens and stuff. So I'm experimenting with that because I thought it would be fun to write a little one-off campaign for us to do. And I have built the first
Looks good.
map
Yes,
out.
I saw
It is.
where you're at.
I've been watching you go through it. It's been very cool. I will say, Alex and I we were laughing very hard the other morning because Alex was like, okay. He runs me through the list of everything he's done. He's like, I've created the full castle is done now. I've got like a kitchen. I've got this keep area. I've got a basement. I've got the throne room. I've got this, that. All this stuff. And he's like, I've fixed all the stairs. I've got better lighting now. I've got this. I've got like all the castle walls are done. I've got the turrets. Like everything is good. And he's like, I can't show you some of it because I've somehow locked the camera and I don't know how to turn it off.
No.
And I'm like, Alex, you know how funny it is to talk about that you've spent so much time in this tool that you've built a fully actualized castle and obsessed over like the most minute details of it, but you can't unlock the camera. And he's like, well, I think it's got something to do with this little circle that's over here that I can't get rid of. And he's like, I don't know, I can't figure it out.
Yep. So I even like took half a wall down from that point, like added a little town in and all kinds of shit, and the camera's still locked. I don't know how to like undo it. When I first played the game, I could use
It's still locked?
Yeah. When
Incredible.
I first played it, I could use the left joystick or the left mouse click to like move in and out, and the right to like move my camera around, like playing a video game with a mouse. Right? I've somehow locked it to where the right mouse does a select, but like will not spin the camera around. So I only have 2 ways to move my camera, which is I can zoom in and zoom out with my scroll wheel, and I can use the level to move up and down the world camera, which allows me to see like above ground, below ground, like whatever. But as far as a free-moving camera, I have somehow locked myself out of. And I'm sure it can be fixed with an easily Googleable search.
I have a feeling you just hit a button. That's the auto lock button, and you just don't remember what button that is. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So, anyway, those are the only 2 things I've played. They've both been very fun.
All right. I can go on with my week. I did not beat Metaphor. I am at 92, 93 hours. I decided I wasn't going to do the grind, so I just went, let's go to the final area. I didn't do the trials or anything like that, because you need to be like level 75. I'm like 62. I'm like, I know these trials are like end game stuff. I'm like, let's just go into it and see how it goes. If I need to, I have a save spot right here. I can just come right back. We can just do it all over again. I get to it. So the last final section is you got, let's say, a palace, and then after that, you have like the final area. I got the palace section done. I'm like, okay, I'm doing pretty good. You know, I'm like not under leveled. You know, I'm flying through here. I'm not having a problem. And then we get to the final area. I'm like, okay, so I'm not having as bad of a time with the people down here, but they're essentially like, I don't know how many. I forget how many off the top of my head. I think it's like 5, but like there are mini bosses that you have to face. And I'm not going to say what they are, anything like that, because I don't want to spoil anything just now. But I got to that point, and I was way under leveled for those. Those guys are like level 77. I'm like level 63. So I'm getting like fucking one shot, or like at least like one round kill my entire team type of deal. So I'm like, oh, okay. Well, now we have to do some grinding. So I'm like, all right, well, got 1 or 2 days I can do some grinding. That's the holidays. And it's on my PlayStation, so I can't, play it from anywhere else. So I'm like, okay, let me go ahead and when I come back, I got the one night. And I'm like, I already told him, like, I'm not going to be able to do it before the game of the year. And Chris like, I believe in you. I'm like, all right, well, if you think I can do it, I'm gonna try it when I get home.
Well, so this whole time, I thought you had it on Steam for some reason. Is there a reason you did PS5?
Because I wanted a hard copy. Remember?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I wanted a hard copy of it. So that's why I got it.
I knew you weren't playing yesterday because Christmas and family, right? And I texted Christian this GIF of like peeking up behind some bushes, and I said me rolling into the final dungeon at level 76, one-shotting everything in the overworld, knowing I'm gonna beat Preston to finishing this game.
You did. But yeah, I understand a lot of time. So yeah, I did play like 2 hours last time. I'm like, okay, let's see how quickly we get leveled up to see if I can maybe I'll stay up a little bit later tonight. We'll do it. I'm like, I got like 4 levels within like an hour and a half. Like, we're not doing this tonight. No. And then I got to work tomorrow. So
dude, you gotta.
I'll take my time with it.
I know Christian told you about the mage thing. Yeah.
So my issue isn't MP. My issue is just time, because I have to take time to kill these guys. Because it's not overworld kills right now. It's like I'm having to battle the guys that are on the field, and then once I feel like I got enough power, I'll go and hit the mini bosses up, which give you a shit ton of experience. So now I'm ready for the second area, which I'm going to go into and see how I do with all that. And sooner or later, I'll get to a point where I'll kill the overworld enemies, and I'll just start grinding throughout that once I can do that.
You should see if you can, because you can run past things, right? Like, you could even stun them.
So the first time I went into the final area, I ran past every enemy just to see where I could go, and that's when I found out about the mini bosses, because it lets you know. I was exploring that entire first section, like running past everything and not trying to get hit, just to see like where it was and maybe get to the end.
Man, that's unfortunate.
But you should kill those mini bosses if you want to have a decent time with the end game.
You should beat them all, because I've read that it makes the final thing with Luis impossible.
Well, the first time I tried one of those mini bosses, I got my shit pushed in real hard. I'm like, okay, we're gonna do the grind then.
That's so unfortunate, because like at my level, when I rolled in there at 76, I was able to kill things in the overworld. So in that second area, I was between 3 crystals, and I was just killing things.
Yep.
And I was killing things in 30 minutes. Like, in 30 minutes, they spawned 2 teeth, a gold and a silver tooth, and each time I would kill them, they would give you between... If I didn't kill them while they were stunned, I would get 65 of the archetype level up items. If I killed them before I got attacked, so an unscathed attack, I got 99. And dude, in under 30 minutes, I actually leveled all of my archetypes to 20 and got that achievement for just like...
Yeah, the archetypes aren't my
mastering all of
problem.
your
It's the
archetypes.
actual character levels that are the problem, right?
I know.
Because it's just, they're way too soft and they get killed way too easy. And I don't do enough damage.
Sucks.
So, just gotta level those guys up. It is what it is. The game does make it very obvious that, like, here's your area to grind it if you haven't made it this far. And your rests are not going to skip a day. So it's a whole thing of, like, you have all this to prepare. Feel free to do what you got to do, but this is the last section. So
Yeah.
I'm going to play it as much as I can. I'm not going to, like, slow down or anything, but I'm, just didn't make it in time, which is fine. I'm going to probably hit 100 hours on this fucking game. So when Christian told me he had 80 hours, I'm like, oh, man, like 70-something? I got 10 more hours. It's going to be easy. And I just kind of took my time with getting to that 80-hour mark. I'm like, okay, well, I'm still at 80 hours, and I still need to do more. I'm like 90 hours. I'm like, oh, shit. So that's kind of where I'm at with that. But it's good.
Mine was 90. I say mine was 90 because I'm a crazy person and have more patience than Christian does. Like, not in a good way, like in a crazy person way. So, like, my extra 10 hours were grinding in the towers of the trials, so I made the final dungeon easy on purpose.
Sure.
Yeah, but I did the same thing there. Like, I went through all those same things. Like, I did it was just, I don't know.
He just built different.
No,
it's fine.
I say, what level did you finish at?
He said 80.
You were a higher level than me, for sure.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Because, like I said, I'm crazy enough to where I'll just like get dead brained and just like
I was like
run
79, I think, is what I finished.
I want to hit
smoked
80
everything.
before
I was
get
like
to the
80.
final boss.
I was 88, I think.
Yeah, I smoked everything at 79. I think the trick for me for a lot of fights and stuff is that this game, like, I think Final Fantasy games have conditioned me to never use buff or debuff effects because they're usually a waste of time. Like, you can usually just outright kill something going right after it.
Wasting those turns.
Whereas, like the fight you were talking about, Alex, it was way easier for me to finish that fight on normal because I spent, like, there would be multiple turns where I would spend times being like, I'm going to quadruple debuff, like, the enemy, buff myself up, and then also move everybody to the back row, get full defense on, and then when it's time to do my moves, like, move forward, they're still debuffed, I'm still buffed, now I can do these moves, like, do these things.
Oh, I did all of that. What caught me on that final fight, yeah, because I was doing the same thing, like, the Dekuja or whatever, like, debuffing and everything. That final fight just was some bullshit because I got unlucky when he started spamming those attacks. He changes his archetype, and he would, like, blast everybody with wind, and it'd be like, repel, 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 except for, like, Juna, who would be, like, weak, and I'd be like, fuck!
Yeah.
Like, give him more turns.
But hey, that last little section is not going to keep me from where it is positioned on my game of the year. Like, you get 90 hours into the game, you kind of know where you sit with that fucking game, right? Like, you have to really take a left turn at the end.
You've certainly played enough of it to know where
they take a big left turn at the end.
If you've noticed on the stream here, I have done the favor and put your number one already on the list.
Oh yeah, Star Wars Outlaws there. Yeah, sure. Yeah. Finish that one.
I watched 2 hours of Zone Zero and feel like I've seen enough to be able to decide it won't be on my top 10.
Yeah, sure.
So I think the hours you put in are fair to decide it is on your top 10.
I feel like I played that game for 10 years, I think.
No, yeah. So just to be fair,
felt like it.
I also finished up I did finish up Star Wars Outlaws in the stream.
Number one on your list with a bullet.
Sure. I had a bug with the one, I guess it's kind of like a boss. I'm not going to spoil what it is, but, like, let's say someone's chasing you, right? You got this little room. You're supposed to hit some levers, but you got one character that's chasing you. The first room that I was in, the dude got stuck. So I'm like, oh, well, I'm just going to fucking hit these levers. He's not shooting me or no nothing. Cool. Very last level, like, small room. Like, how is that still an issue in this game? I don't understand. Like, it's...
Man.
They say they put through all these, like, patches and stuff like that. I'm still fighting. The last two streams I had a weird, super weird bug in both streams. I only streamed for like an hour and a half to 2 hours every time. But I still was able to find a different bug in each one of those streams.
That's how I feel about Cyberpunk still.
It's just insane. It's crazy. I'm like, all right, but there's still a lot of heart there. It looks great. But
Christian, you look at things with a critical eye. So if there's a bug, you're like, oh, fucking bug. Preston gives every Star Wars game the benefit of the doubt. So if he's saying he's so ready, it's bad. It's a bad day.
It's that game is, as Cyberpunk, is held together with twigs and fucking chewing gum. So, but I finished it. It was able to be beaten, even though I couldn't remember, because the last section they have you do is like a ship battle, and I never really did ship battles ever because it's all optional. So I'm trying to hit the missiles, but I'm like hitting the turbo into the Star Destroyer, so my ship's just crashing into the Star Destroyer every single time.
The best part was there's a part where Preston pulls up on a turret and literally just like parks in front of it, like the ship is like his ship's not moving. He's pushed up against the turret, and then Preston just holds down the fire button and just starts shooting it, and it kills it, and he flies off. And I was like, that's how that works, I guess.
Rogue Squadron has been out for like 20 plus years. They still can't get a fucking Star Destroyer right. As good as that Rogue Squadron game made it. So I'm like, you guys, it's already there. Whatever.
My favorite part was that right at the end, I think Preston looks, and he goes, well, that was a video game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like, I finished it. Like,
that's an amazing
little teaser at the end of the credits. Like, we just talked to this person? Cool. Chris is like, oh, because at the very end, like, oh, what do we want to do now? Whatever we want to do. Chris is like, oh, what are you going to do next, Preston? I'm like, nothing. I'm not going to do anything else with this game. Like, they got DLC coming, but that 2 DLC is going to be the end of it. And that game will not be but it'll be updated maybe a little bit for the bugs and stuff like that. But other than that, you're not getting new content with that fucking game anymore.
Yeah, who knows?
So, did that. Played a little more Zenless Zone Zero. I do want to mention that I got Miyabi on my first 10 pulls. I was so fucking stoked. I sat down, I'm like, all right, I got 10. It says, like, you got 50 pulls until you get, like, your guaranteed S rank. I'm like, all right, well, I got 10 here. Let's go ahead and pull it. I press the button, and it does the intro thing, like, boom, bum, 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 bum. And it gets like really, and also the music, like the vocals start kicking in and it starts shaking a little bit. I'm like, oh shit. And it gets S. I'm like, oh, and my heart starts beating a little bit. I'm like, this better be fucking Miyabi. And it was Miyabi. So I'm very happy. I got that right away with the first 10 pulls. So I've expended all my
Can I ask you a
game.
question?
Sure.
Which one's Miyabi?
It's the one we looked up last time where you saw
It's
the
the
stuff.
fox,
Oh,
the
cake.
fox person.
Okay, they're the one you want. Yeah. Okay.
Fox
Just making
Tiger.
With all that, one day, a deity will come down to earth and judge people for their sins, and
Christian
there will be certain
clean.
things on this podcast that I will not be able to defend to that
Just
deity.
describing what we saw. We didn't make that statue, Christian.
That's true.
We're just observing.
Yeah. One of us was.
Other than that, I did play one game. So I was going to my mom's house. I'm like, oh, we can play some Zen. I can play the new stuff in Zen. But I'm like, I don't feel like doing that. I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and re-up Game Pass for 1 month. Because I wanted to try out the new Indiana Jones game.
Yeah.
So by Machine Head, the guys who did the last 2 Wolfenstein games, started up, played for it now on the Xbox just to kind of like, get it going, kind of look at it. Because I want to see it really nice on the big screen. But then when I was out hanging out with my mom's for Christmas, I popped up the Steam Deck, got that Xbox Cloud app going again, and just streamed it through the cloud that way. Still looked good. The couple hours I played for it, looks fantastic. Like everyone says, Troy Baker's voice acting is, phenomenal. They do a really good job. And to kind of like really home it into you, the first like section of it, the tutorial, if you will, is pretty much the intro for, I think it's Raiders of the Lost Ark, the one with Dr. Octopus.
It's like
in it.
shot for shot, isn't it?
Pretty
Didn't
much,
they,
yeah.
Put them side by side, yeah.
And that helps you kind of get into it. So it's like, okay, well, you'll see Harrison Ford here, but like you saw the movie version of him in this art form, so like, it kind of helps you kind of get used to it. But it's really good. Not as much gunplay as the Wolfenstein games. But it's got a lot of searching around, looking for stuff. A couple puzzles I found in it so far were pretty good. It's nailing the aesthetic of Indiana Jones. So I'll stick around with it for a little bit longer. The stealth stuff might be the one that keeps me from finishing it. I'm not the biggest fan of stealth games. So far, it's not as bad. If you get caught, you can try to just duke it out with whoever found you and punch them up a bit. But we got some guys with dogs that might kind of come after you too, so that kind of ends it. But yeah, so far, the little bit I played of it, I liked it. So but that's it. Yeah, that's it for me for the. Oh, I did also go see a movie. Me and my sister went to go see Moana 2 while I was out there, and it was very enjoyable. Not as good as the first one, but it was still good. Christian and Alex
Is the rooster that you like in it?
Yeah,
still?
Hey, he's in it. Yeah, he's fucking maybe crack up every single goddamn time.
Dude, I don't know how I feel about the fact they just released a Moana 2 while shooting a live-action Moana 1,
Dude,
which
there does
only
not need
came
to be
out
a
a few
Moana
years
2.
ago.
Moana 2 did not need to be a movie. It's fine. I like Moana. I love Moana. It's my favorite of the new Disney. But they did not need a sequel at all.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, that's fair. That's a good
Of
one.
the new
My
Disney.
favorite's-
Of the
my
new
favorite's
stuff they've
Tangled.
So yeah, it was good. I enjoyed it. These two gentlemen over here would have been really pissed off because we sat next to a lady who brought her 2-year-old in, who about halfway through the movie could not sit still, could not stop talking, and kept doing things. Was tapping on the railing up there near the seats and stuff like that. Now me, Colleen looked over. She's like, "Are you pissed?" I'm like, "It's a fucking kids movie. If I was here at like a PG-13 or more movie, I would be like, get your fucking kid and go."
I actually
Two
totally
is
agree.
a
Disney.
little young, but it's fair. It's still a little young. For
I think
Kids
I
Disney
think
movie.
that if you go see a Disney movie, it is not
You should not be surprised.
the world's fault that you're a Disney adult. You know what you're doing. You know that you're going into
Sure.
a movie that is mostly marketed towards children, and
100%.
it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
You're gonna have a kid.
Yeah, right next. Like,
Now,
she's like climbing up and down and like doing all this kind of short stuff. And Colleen's like, "Are you sure
Now-
you're not mad?" I'm like, "No, I'm not mad. It's a fucking like I'm
I
not
will
mad
say-
because she's kind of messing up some of the quiet parts, but like other than that, it's like whatever. It's a fucking Disney movie."
I only give that exception to noise. If the 2-year-old was like
Sure.
making noise or doing things, there's nothing that you're gonna be able to do that.
She should.
If you bring your child out in public and you let them climb all over shit and do crazy shit like that, no.
I mean,
That's
to
a
be fair, she was
problem.
climbing over her mom, so it was just her in that seat. It wasn't like over
Yeah, but
other
is she
things.
getting up out? But you said she's got up out of the seat and started banging on the railing and other shit.
Tapping on the railing, yes, correct.
Yeah,
now,
no.
at that point, I kind of want to tell the mom, like, hey, you're like, do
Control your
something.
child.
Corral your child. Take her outside if she's going. I can
It'd
understand
be like
if she's
if
talking
I
to
was
you a
sitting
little
at a
bit.
restaurant,
Whatever.
and then a 2-year-old like starts slamming into their fucking like the booth or whatever, and is
sure.
like doing great. Hey, I don't care if your kid makes noise. It's gonna make noise. It's a child. I'm not upset about that. What I do care about is you letting it run around like
them.
this is an extension
Yeah.
of your fucking house.
Yeah, exactly.
Dial in, be a parent.
Yes.
It's what you signed up for.
You hear her saying something occasionally, but like either way, I just chalked it up to I'm a fucking Disney movie. I don't care. But
Yeah.
decent movie, not better than the first.
Right on.
That's my week.
Well, mine'll be super quick. I've been playing Cyberpunk. I won't have. I'll save my like overall thoughts on it until I finish it. But right now, it is becoming a game that is becoming. I'm liking it less the more that I play it. Like the seams. It is. It's not even just barely holding together physically. It's barely holding together narratively. It's barely holding together like from a gameplay perspective. Like there's so many things that just. This like you can see. I think that they try to do too much, and to do so they cut so many corners, and as soon as you get over the first like, I would say like 5 hours. Honestly, there's a character named Jackie in that game. Once you get past his part of the game.
It's like an hour into it.
It's like 2 or 3 now with all the other stuff they've added, but
Sure.
it's like basically the prologue or whatever.
Yeah.
The game starts to nosedive from that point on, and it doesn't stop. Like there's so much effort that is put into that first 3 hours that it is incredibly misleading when you get to the rest of the game, and it is not living up to any level that it promised. Like even the intro.
Remember though, that's those first 3 hours. Completely agree, right? Because those first 3 hours are the mission they used to be like, look at this world. Your decision. You can attack this mission in 3 different ways. It was the one they used as their tech demo everywhere.
Yeah.
But it's the only mission in the game that can be approached that way.
No, and that's the thing is that's not necessarily true. Like there are other missions that will let you do that, like especially going into Phantom Liberty, which I know you didn't play.
I didn't play Phantom Liberty, yeah.
But it is not. They're not to that level even still. Like they're just like, hey, you can either go on the roof, you can use strength to force open a door, or you can use your tech skills to hack through a door. You pick, and it's like, well, all 3 of those really get me in the building now. And they're like, yeah, and you're like, okay, so.
Yeah, it's not like call this ally on the phone and bring in the military and,
Correct.
you know...
So there's like...
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's things like that is... And at first I was like, that's kind of a bummer. And then like when I was explaining my grievances to Alex, there was a moment where I was walking around and literally, as I was complaining about it, there was 2 NPCs that were the exact same model standing right next to each other. I mean, same clothes, same face, same eyes, same cybernetic arm. Like, it was literally the same model. And they were standing next to each other in a parking lot just, like, doing some mundane thing. And that was it. Like, they were just... I watched them on their little cycle, and I was like, this is the thing I'm talking about. Like, this didn't need to be here, and you're actively making it look worse. Like, I know your assumption was that hopefully I would just run by and didn't notice, but... It's what happened. Like, I was here for a reason, and I just happened to let the camera wander because I was busy bitching to a friend, and now, look, you've got, like, it's right in front of me now. And it just keeps happening. I keep finding bugs that make me reload the game, like soft locks. Like, I had a mission today that I was doing. I won't spoil anything, but you're swimming, basically. And there's a control to surface to the like top of the water so that you can jump out, and it was doing the opposite, where if I pressed the surface button it would just shove me lower into the ground and like try to push me through the floor basically. And so but I'm in a breathing suit, so I can't die. So I'm just sitting there swimming downwards while the camera's looking up, trying to get out, and it just wouldn't fix it. And so I had to reload, and then it would finally work. And I was like,
Jesus.
like, it's just, it's so much of that. There's so many times that stuff, like, I see cars falling down from the sky sometimes, like, it just happens.
I remember that.
Yeah, like, it's, and you know, it's really frustrating because I liked Edge Runners a lot. And so I came away from that show being like, you know what, maybe there's something there. And like, there's just so many times where I'm like, it'd be cooler if you did what you did in the anime, but you're not doing it here. And so far, like, it's just, I don't know. We'll see. I'm gonna finish it, but it is CD Projekt's weakest game by far, and I just hope that going forward they fucking figure out this scope issue. I don't know. Figure it out. Like, because I'll tell you,
will help out. Witcher 4.
Well, maybe, but it's not even. It's like I said. It's past being a performance problem.
Yeah.
Like, if these same writers write a level of the story that's happening here, and write it on, Witcher 4, I will be so bummed.
Yeah.
Like, I'll have to get to it when I finish it, because there's things I want to say, but I don't want to spoil it for people, so we can put like a little warning up. But man, it's something.
Okay.
That being said, for the rest of the games we're going to talk about tonight, we are going to spoil them. So
Yes, once we get into the top 10 territories, feel free to spoil those games.
Thank you for listening to another episode of The Testing Room. To catch up on past episodes or check out the newest ones when they drop, follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your favorite podcasts. If watching is more your thing, check out youtube.com/thetestingroom or Twitch TV/testingroompod. To leave comments and ask questions, follow us on Instagram @testingroompod and email us at testingroompod@gmail.com. See you next time.